Hello, my name is Jason, and this is my digital artifact presentation. This case study is AI generated. This is an AI generated case about Mr. J, a 45 years old Jehovah's Witness who was brought to the emergency department after a major road traffic accident. He had severe internal bleeding and critically low hemoglobin levels. Urgently needed a blood transfusion to survive. However, because of his religion, he refused all blood products when he was awake. His family supports his decision as well. This creates a serious ethical dilemma. Should we do all we can to save Mr. J's life, even though he has clearly refused blood transfusion based on his belief while awake? In this video, I'll apply the 6-step model of the ethical reflection and focus on step 3, 4, and 5, discussing the people involved, the main ethical and legal principles, and the possible course of action. Now let's begin with step 3. Who are the parties involved and what are their interests? First is patient Mr. J, who is a Jehovah's Witness. He fully understands his condition and clearly refuses a blood transfusion because it goes against his belief. His priority is staying true to his beliefs, even if this means risking death. Second is his family, his wife and daughter. They share the same faith and support his decision as well. Although they are anxious and worried, but they believe that spiritual commitment is more important than the physical survival. Third is a healthcare team. Nurses and doctors want to stabilize him and prevent death. However, they must also respect his autonomy and legal rights. So this creates emotional and professional tension because their duty to save patients' life conflict with his refusal. Finally, the hospital ethical committee may be consulted to guide the team and ensure that the final decision is both legally and ethically. Now, some key factors can strongly influence ethical decision-making in this situation. One key factor is religion and belief. Mr. J's faith directly shapes his medication decisions. So for healthcare professionals, understanding and respecting this belief is really essential for person-centered care. The second factor is professional responsibility. Nurses have a duty of care and are accountable under the NMC code to preserve life while respecting patients' choices. Balancing this duty can be emotionally exhausting. The third factor is emotion and moral distress. Nurses often feel powerless and guilty when they cannot act to save a patient's life, even though they know they must respect the patient's decision. This factor often leads to ethical conflict between the professional values and the patient's autonomy. Now let's move to the step 4. In this part, we will discuss what values, principles, and laws come into play. So we will discuss the core ethical dilemma, such as the autonomy, beneficence, and non-maleficence, and also the legal frameworks and the professional standards. The first key principle in this case is autonomy. Mr. J is fully conscious, understands the risks, and refuses a blood transfusion clearly based on his belief. Under the Mental Capacity Act 2005, a competent adult has the legal right to refuse any treatment, even if it leads to death. So legally and ethically, we must respect his decision. However, This can be emotionally challenging for nurses because our instinct and training are to preserve life. This brings us to beneficence, acting in the patient's best interest. Normally, a blood transfusion would be beneficial for patient, but here, benefit must be based on the patient's own values. For Mr. J, staying true to his beliefs is more important than physical survival. Alongside this, non-maleficence reminds us to do not harm. So if the team gives blood against Mr. J's wish, so they might save the Mr. J's body, but harm him emotionally, spiritually, and legally. Now let's look at the legal aspects. The Human Rights Act 1998 protects the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. It means that the law recognizes a patient's right to refuse treatment based on belief. The Mental Capacity Act 2005 provides a clear process for assessing capacity and confirms that adults with capacity have the final say in their medical decisions. Therefore, legally, forcing a transfusion would be considered assault. The legal framework in this case fully supports respecting Mr. J's refusal. There are the professional and moral standards that guide nurses. The NMC Code 2018 requires nurses to respect the patient's rights, to accept or refuse treatment, practice within the law, and provide compassionate, person-centered care. It also reminds us to seek support and document carefully when facing ethical dilemmas. Even with clear legal and professional guidance, this situation can still cause moral distress for staff. This is why tools like the six-step ethical reflection model are very useful because they can help the nurses and the doctors analyze the situation and make a decision that is ethically and legally. Now let's move to the step 5. What are the possible course of action? So in this part, I will critically evaluate the possible course of action and decide which option would be most appropriate in Mr. J's case. The first option is to respect the patient's refusal completely. The healthcare team would honor Mr. J's decision, avoid blood products, and continue comfort care. The advantage is that this fully respects his autonomy and complies with both the Mental Capacity Act and the human rights. It also maintains trust between the patient's family and the staff. However, the disadvantage is that the patient might not survive, and the staff could experience emotional distress or moral guilt. The second option is to override the patient's decision and give a blood transfusion directly to save his life. This could preserve his physical life in the short term. However, it would clearly breach his human rights, professional codes, and ethical principles. It might also result in legal action against the team and cause serious moral injury to staff who feel they violated the patient's belief. So this option is not ethically or legally defensible. The third option is a balanced approach to respect his refusal while implementing all available bloodless alternatives. This includes using iron infusions, erythropoietin, IV fluids, and surgical methods that minimize blood loss. It demonstrates beneficence while still respecting autonomy. Although these measures may not guarantee 100% survival, but they show that the team did everything possible within the ethical and legal boundaries. After evaluating all options, the most appropriate course of action would be the third one, respecting the patient's informed refusal and applying every non-blood alternatives. This aligns with autonomy and beneficence while upholding the NMC code requirement to practice safely and respect individual beliefs. It also allows nurses to document their reasoning clearly, communicate with the family, medical health team members, and seek emotional support afterwards. By choosing this path, the team demonstrates professional integrity and compassionate, person-centered care, turning a difficult ethical conflict into an example of reflective and accountable practice. Thank you for your listening.